to see the report, the language that says that we settled that. I think that's not a. I think that's something that needs to be cleared up. Finally, one way or the other, because there are people who believe that, and I don't believe that to be the case. But if there's something in that report that I missed that indicates that, then I would like to see that. Um, I do know there was a finding of discrimination in the Minneapolis report, and what they found there was clear discrimination between the discipline that was being dispensated to white students versus minority students. No such reference in our report. There is a disparity though, and the disparity itself is a problem. And I don't think we should ignore that nor deny that. And when I took away from all the discussion we had last week, that we got a whole community that I think we all share that goal. We want to eliminate any disparities, and if there is discrimination, we want to eliminate that too. But I think the community expects to see that what we're doing in that regard, and I think we all share that. And they're willing to help. And it starts with, I think, getting the data out there. I think we do need to get the data out there, and the data is, I know it's out there in a kind of total form, but there's a lot of nuances. We know after the discussion that we've had as board with maybe our own conversation with the superintendent and staff, that there's a lot of nuances to how this data gets collected and gets reported that needs to be understood in the context of the total report. And I think the community, needs to be a part of understanding that, because at the heart of this is understanding what that data tells us and what it doesn't tell us. So, to the extent that we need to reorganize, you want to design things, get broader participation from the community, and I'm all for that. I heard people saying they want access to the data. They want to see results. They want to know that we're making headway in solving the problem. I, for one, share that. I think everybody up here at this table shares that. But I do think it's important. To Mr. Barlow's point, I'm interested because my impression of the report was that some would argue that disparity itself is a form of discrimination. I get that. But I think the distinction is not trivial, and we do need to get some basis of understanding that we can all agree on. I also hope that, I think we have to talk about what our community values are related to discipline in the school district, because I think that actually we have to ask ourselves that question. I would hope that regardless of our race, ethnic background, or whatever, that we think it's a good thing for kids to come to school ready to learn and not to be disruptive in class, and the class should not, as a rule, be disruptive. Now, there are times when class is going to be disruptive, and then we have to have a sound policy and understand why that occurs. There's lots of reasons why that may or may not happen, and we shouldn't necessarily jump to punish kids because of that disruption. But at the same time, I think we have to have some sort of community value that we all share regarding to how discipline and what our expectations of students. It has to be a community value that we share, because if we can't do that, then I don't know how we'll ever resolve the problem. I'll be honest, I think we'll always be arguing about the problem if we somehow can't come to some sort of value statement that we can all, regardless of our background and where we come from, that we can't all agree as a value. It's something we can all share, regardless of the differences that we have, which is actually a good thing. Diversity is a good thing. Diversity of opinion, diversity of race, it makes us better. I believe that. But I do think we have to be rational. We do have to base on data. We have to base on the data, and we have to understand what the data is telling us. And I, respect those who come for us, take the time to say, hey, we want to see the data, and I think we can do a better job of parsing that data and getting it out. And that'll be one of the efforts of this committee. And if the board's going to take this on, then I think we should we need to understand what we're actually asking this group to do and to be a part of. We need to be clear about that. So, I think all of us share the goal of wanting to do better and to eliminate disparities where we can, if at all possible. And we should be working towards that goal together as a community, not only as a board, but as a staff and as a community, parents, teachers, everybody, students included. So, anyway.
I think there's always some confusion about what a finding means as opposed to a disparity. So a finding would be that a white student did X, Y, and Z, and a student of color also did X, Y, and Z, and the white student was let off the hook, and the student of color was not. That's discipline disparity. Or I'm sorry,
That'd be discipline disparity.
yeah.
Be discrimination,
Well, it's
actually.
discrimination, but that's not what they found. What they found was that there was a higher percentage of students of color who had referrals to the office, other discipline, as opposed to the students who are white. So I don't know, was that everybody else's understanding? I haven't looked at the OCR
Well,
report
it's not
for a
Don's
long time.
understanding, and I think it's
Yeah.
important. He's sitting here with the board. I think it's important that we all. I mean, you don't have to find it now.
Oh, no, I intend to find it.
Oh, I know you'll find it. I know you'll find it and share it. But when you do, I'd be most interested in seeing it, because if I missed something, I'll be the first to admit that. And also, it could be a question how we're interpreting things, and if that's the case, we need to understand that too.
Yeah,
I'll wait till you-
I will reach out to our attorney and have them come and speak to the board exactly what that agreement means. OCR does not make agreements when you are in the wrong, and that's just not the way things are done. Mr. Smith, you mentioned, if you want to see a fairly sample of that, you can look at Minneapolis's. It's on their website, just like ours is on our website. But I think it might be best if we bring our attorney who worked with OCR to come to that agreement and have him share with you exactly what went down during those meetings and what that agreement actually means. I know there's a belief by some in our community that you can bargain with OCR and they'll do that, but that's not my understanding what OCR does. If you're in violation, then it's stated that way. I would also, the only other thing I would make a comment on is I think having the Community Engagement Committee work with this group is probably a good idea. I just would remind the board of Policy 213, which talks about when board organizes committees, and you can read the entire, I'm not going to go through the entire policy with you, but just a couple things that I think would be important. And this is important to do with any group that you get together, and that is that Section 2C, the school board committee or subcommittee will be formed by school board resolution